All right. Okay, I think we're live. Hey everyone, this is DeFi Talks with DeFi Dad. It's Friday, August 20th, 2021. I'm here with Alan, who is the founder and CEO of Beta Finance. So we're going to talk today about Beta Finance, which is a new protocol. It was recently incubated by the Alpha Finance team through their new launch pad. So anyone who is holding or staking the Alpha token is actually earning this future Beta token. But anyways, Beta Finance is designed for you to be able to permissionlessly short any token. And they just launched. So we're going to talk through the new markets that launched, how it all works, and how you can get involved in Beta Finance. So Alan, welcome to my show. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's been like a crazy past 3 days since we launched. And I'm really excited to be here to kind of walk your community through how they can interact with Beta Finance and what we're really offering to the DeFi community with the new protocol.
I always love, I kick off the show like, hey, how you doing? Alan and I have been talking for about 30 minutes. We just, we got caught up. There's a lot of, I think valuable, features to this new protocol. And it's just a cool idea. So I was excited to sort of cover all of this and talk about how Beta works. So why don't we start though with your background, Alan? Can you talk about, I guess, when did you get into crypto, and then when did you get started building Beta Finance?
Yeah, for sure. So I first heard about crypto during the ICO craze in 2017 because my roommate in college worked for the Ethereum Foundation. And then I kind of got my first exposure to dApp building in 2018 when I was building on block stacks, which is stacks now, I believe. But wrong choice because I should have been building on Ethereum really. And so I kind of took a break after building a few social dApps. And did a lot of AI research. So I did stints at both Microsoft Research and Facebook AI, where I worked on a lot of ML optimization. But I realized that crypto is a lot better. So when DeFi summer kind of rolled around, I got back into DeFi and really interested in the space, really interested in all the possibilities, as well as realized that there's a lot of gaps in what is available to users right now. A lot of financial Legos are still missing in DeFi. And so I really sought to kind of get back into crypto that way. And for context as well, I graduated from MIT where I did both my bachelor's and master's in CS.
Yeah, very cool. And you are a former classmate of Tasha and her co-founder at MIT?
So Tasha went to Berkeley, unfortunately. It would be great to, Berkeley's an amazing school, by the way, but MIT's better. But yeah, I was classmates with Nipun. So he was 2 years older than me.
That's it. Her co-founder, that makes sense. Yeah. Awesome.
Brilliant guy.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, what you've built it's similar in some sense, but again, it offers a new value of you can permissionlessly short any token. But it has, again, some of the mechanics of Alpha Homora. So I'm kind of excited to sort of talk through this because I think if you've used Alpha Homora, you will recognize some of the parallels. But again, the goal here is one can lend and you can just earn yield. So that's simple enough. You can also borrow if you'd like. But then I think the more powerful automation that you provide is just allowing someone to drop in some collateral, like a stable coin or Ether, and then you can short one of, I think, 14 markets that you've got currently open. So actually, in order to talk through it, we probably can just start screen sharing. Unless, do you want to share anything else, Alan, before we get started on the screen share?
Yeah, just to add, so we're a permissionless money market for lending, borrowing, and shorting. So all the same features that you can find in any money market like Compound and Aave, you can also find on Beta, with some slight technical design decisions to really enable this shorting feature. And the short feature is an atomic transaction. So you don't have to worry about delaying things through interacting with multiple protocols or dealing with like fluctuating like APYs or anything like that. So really excited to show you guys more.
Yeah. I mean, in order, before we show this off, like in order for me to short a token today, I mean, one thing I could obviously do is if I hold it, I could just sell it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, in most cases, it does require like hopping into something like a perpetuals exchange. I think there's a little more complexity to wanting to short than what you've created here. So that was what I recognized with Alpha Homora originally, was like they basically allowed you to yield farm with a larger position, but you were actually borrowing from their lenders on their own protocol. And so that allowed you to yield farm with a larger position and earn more rewards. And so in this case, you've similarly created like a lending borrowing market, but for those that are borrowing, in this case, they can essentially, short the token. So we can talk through it. Alan, I guess, where should we start here? Like there's a few different personas. Should we talk through like the lending side of this? Like how would one just get started if they wanted to earn lending? Oh, quick reminder, don't follow anything we talk through here as an investment strategy. This is not financial advice. This is purely meant as educational, informational. So, all right, on that note, Alan, where would you get started as a lender?
Yeah, so our goal is to really make the experience as simple for the user as possible. So if you scroll a little bit down, we have a list of like verified markets that users can interact with safely. All these markets are supported by both band protocol and Chainlink oracles, so very secure. And what you can do very interestingly is, I see that you've already clicked a few stars, but on the top right corner of every card, you can click a star to really add it to your favorite section. And so your favorite section will show up at the top. And so as you can imagine, when there are more markets, things get harder to track, but with this, you'll be able to track them easily. So let's first get started with depositing or lending. And so you would just click the deposit button on any of the cards, enter in any amount that you would like to deposit. We also provide like a suite of a few buttons that allow you to easily do the percentage of I'm sorry, would you be able to go back to the deposit?
Oh, here, I'm going to go back to, let me hop into one of these where it's got so one thing that I'm looking at is if I'm a lender, I want to look at the deposit APY, and I could actually go to this and I could just look at deposit APY and rank it. And so now I can see what's the highest. Just be aware, these are newer markets that have only been open for a few days. Some of them have been open for less than 24 hours. So in the case of like the Ether market here, that's why the deposit APY is currently 0%. So these things should obviously grow over time. But if I go back to this, actually, let's just use Ether because I have Ether in this wallet. So we're lending, we're putting in 1 ETH at this point. Pretend that the lending APY is more than 0, and then I would just hit deposit. You can't see my MetaMask, but just you follow all the same sorts of steps. So you're either depositing or you have to approve the token and then deposit. Is there anything else to note there on the lending side, Alan?
Yeah, so after you execute the transaction, if you go to the My Positions page at the very top, this will actually be like a dashboard of all your positions. So all your deposits, all your borrow positions, all your shorts, and we sum all these values for you at the top for you to give you an overview. If you want to see what this actually looks like with active positions, you can go on our Medium or our Twitter, where we've actually shown some like step-by-step walkthroughs. Maybe if it would be helpful, you could go directly to our Gitbook actually. So betafinance.gitbook.io.
I will grab, let me see if I can, did you guys tweet out a screenshot of that? Otherwise I'll go to your Gitbook.
Yeah, we did tweet out a screenshot, but we've been tweeting a lot, so it might be a little far down.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay, here, let me share a different screen here. I'm going to remove this one and we'll reshare a different screen. Oop, here we go. Chrome tab. There we go. All right.
Yes.
Where should I click?
The managing positions on the left.
Here we go. There it is.
So this is an example of what your positions page will look like with active positions. And so you can see clearly like all the APY you're earning, how much you've deposited, how much you're borrowing, what is like the amount of interest and debt that you have, and the ability to like easily manage these as well. So we won't be able to walk through the refill and repay in this live stream without active positions, but you can find these like images on the Gitbook as well. So if you exit out of this image and then go to the refilling and repaying on the left, right above,
there we go.
You'll be able to like, again, see walkthroughs of all these like different interactions, how the UI will look, and we provide explanations as well.
Yeah, awesome. It's very familiar. Like the setup here is you deposit a certain amount of, if you borrow or short, you deposit more collateral per usual. So all of this is over collateralized. And then, you can only borrow so much against that value. So that's the LTV, loan to value. And if you go above a certain threshold, which is, I'll show that when we hop back into the live platform. If you go above that threshold, there's folks that are there to liquidate you. Actually, you have to remind me, Alan, is there like a keepers system set up? Is that how that works? Like, is it folks running bots or individuals that are going to liquidate you are under collateralized?
Yeah, that'll be how it works. So right now, the beta finance team is running a script to monitor all positions and then actively liquidating ourselves. But we also have reached out to like Keeper DAO, like B Protocol, Gelato, to like try to get more keepers that are distributed out in the community right now onto beta and like helping us maintain the health of the protocol.
This is great too. I didn't realize this. When you, if you go to repay a loan, or if you have an open short position, I didn't realize. So you can pay with the actual collateral, which saves you some time. Versus like having to pay it all back with other tokens. Yeah. So that's super helpful. Would it be good then for me to go back to the actual application? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Back to the market. Let me reshare my screen. Here we go. Boop. All right. Here we go. Do you want to talk through shorting? How does that work?
Yeah, so if you click the short button on any card, you'll be pulled up to our short interface. And so when you want to initiate a short position, you have to post collateral independently from deposits. So we use an isolated collateral model. And what that means is your only liability for your position is how much collateral you've posted, in contrast to like Aave and Compound, where the collateral liquidation could be unlimited. And so because of this, you will have to separately post collateral rather than going through the classic, you need a deposit on the platform first in order to then borrow or short. You're able to borrow and short without depositing for lending. And so, yeah, so I see you've like entered in some amounts. We provide metrics directly for you to evaluate like how risky the position and have recommendations that you stay below a certain LTV threshold. So you don't take too risky of a position. And then if the LTV goes too high, we will automatically pull up warnings for the user to let them know about these risks and make sure they're aware of all the information given to them before making a final decision and executing the transaction. And so if you scroll down a little bit below, what happens actually under the hood of a short is that we take the token that you're trying to short and automatically swap it to the collateral that you've posted and use both your principal collateral as well as the collateral obtained from the swap of the shorted token to then borrow the token that's being shorted as like a flash swap. And so what this kind of enables is you to really easily manage your position and have like a stable like short on the other token. And so currently we support Uniswap and SushiSwap, and by default presents the most optimal DEX to swap through between these two. But if say you want to you don't want to use SushiSwap and you instead want to use Uniswap in this case, you can click the dropdown on.
Oh yeah.
You can click the dropdown and select the other DEX that you want to swap through. And the values will all adjust and let you know what the expected price impact is, slippage, average price, etc. And say
this makes sense.
We have some tooltips there on the side to let users know what these means for people unfamiliar as well. And you can change your slippage tolerance too. So if you go to the top right and click on your wallets, then you'll actually be able to see a config button. And this config button will essentially determine what your slippage is, as well as how long you'll allow for a transaction to take place. And if it exceeds any of these, then we'll cancel the transaction.
What is the deadline refer to here?
So how long you allow this transaction to be processing for.
Oh, interesting. Wait, so if I have a pending transaction for something like, let's say 20 minutes, what are you canceling that transaction then? Or only because I'm used to manually having to do that, or dropping and replacing a transaction. But if it doesn't hit, is that what you guys are doing?
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. So just to recap then, if I want to short, which, I would encourage anyone, if you're new to shorting, you really should take more time to learn about this.
Yes.
Don't just blindly toss some money in to an application like this. Reminder too, there's 183 million TVL. This has only been live for a few days. Despite the fact that Alan and the team have gotten audits, that doesn't guarantee that there's no smart contract risk. There's also all sorts of other risks to consider in using any DeFi protocol. So just, as always, be cautious. But to recap, if I want to short Bitcoin, or in this case, wrapped Bitcoin, I can go here. I can deposit any one of these as collateral. And remember, this is isolated from if I'm doing some lending, the lending that I do on this doesn't contribute to my collateral for shorting. This is not Compound and Aave where it's basically all mixed together. So just be aware of that isolated opportunity here. And so if I put in, let's say 1 ETH, you notice the shorting amount shows me here's how much you could potentially short with. So they're calculating that for me. And, if I have more Ether, 3.4 Ether, well, then now I have more available Bitcoin to short. But if I start playing with the numbers here, you can see that my LTV, loan to value, is going to be around 50%. I mean, for me personally, that's really risky versus, if I were to have if I were to use 25% of my potential shorting amount, now I'm at an LTV of 31.58%. Liquidation is here we go. Max LTV is 72.5%, and you get liquidated at 75% and above. So these are just numbers to, again, if you're playing around with this, just be mindful of these numbers, because otherwise you're going to lose this collateral. And then under the hood, Alan, just to quickly recap there. So I deposit my collateral. I am borrowing then in order to short I mean, that's what's happening under the hood. So there's lenders that are lending that wrapped Bitcoin, and then I'm borrowing and using Uniswap here to actually short it, to swap the token. And that's it. I mean, that's really, if you follow the directions here, this is, in this case, it would be a single transaction because we're just using Ether, right? But if we use something like DAI, which I don't have any DAI in this wallet, it's going to just be 2 transactions. You have to approve spending the token and then click short. So
Yep.
I think that's everything. I mean, anything else that you would call out here that I might pay attention to if I'm new to using this?
Yeah, so on the left card, by default, we show the price graph of this token as well. But you can also click on pool size and utilization to see like what is the size of the pool, as well as like how the utilization has changed over time. And so these are like metrics that we found were important to traders after speaking with users. And so we wanted to include as much information to make a truly like integrated experience without users having to navigate to like different websites or different protocols to get the information they need.
Makes sense. And then this was one thing that we did leave out. So when you lend, borrow, or short, there is not a beta token that exists today. So first off, if anyone sees that, you see it in like a Telegram group or you receive a message on Twitter about it, just know that's not real. That's definitely a scam. But there will be one in the future, which this is the token that would govern the beta finance protocol. The few different ways to earn that. One is you could be staking alpha on Alpha Finance. But obviously, I think an even easier way is if one chooses to lend, borrow, or short. Basically, there's going to be a retroactive drop that you've already announced. None of the specifics of like how much one earns is there, but just know that anyone who lend, borrows, and shorts is going to earn some sort of retroactive distribution of this beta token.
Yep. Yeah,
So
this is really
it.
our desire to kind of give back to early users who have given us this early support and helped us better understand what the real life usage of the protocol looks like before we roll out our phase 2 launch. Because one of the things that I always try to err on is like security and like taking less risk. And so I really want to make sure that the protocol is safe for all users to interact with.
Is there any ETA for the token generation? Anything like that that's been announced yet?
It hasn't been announced, but hopefully we'll be coming out with announcements shortly about when phase 2 will be launching, as well as when the token will be launched. I can't disclose any information right now, but you should follow all our social media to stay up to date.
Yeah. So you can follow Alan and Beta Finance here on Twitter. If you go to the website, which was betafinance.org, at the very bottom, there's a link to their Discord there. So check that out. The usual sort of setup. You can talk to others, including the core team, about beta finance, especially if you have questions or need help navigating the platform. So Alan, anything else you think folks should know about beta finance right now? I think we covered it all.
Yeah, we definitely went through a lot. I think for more like information about like step-by-step guides to how to use the protocol, you should look at our Gitbook documentation. It's betafinance.gitbook.io. And of course, be sure to like follow our social medias because we have a lot of great posts to get users better understand how to use the protocol, as well as like potentially like what strategies that they could explore now that we have these new like financial Legos in DeFi. And yeah, really excited to bring to the community all the stuff that we have planned in the future. And so yeah, stay connected.
Yeah. And by the way, I had Alan's handle wrong there a moment ago, but this is the correct one to follow him on Twitter. And yeah, man, thanks so much. This was great. Super interesting new money Lego, and just congrats. I mean, it takes a lot to launch a protocol. You're definitely a part of a small elite group of DeFi Avengers to get that live. And everyone, just last reminder there's the website there to check that out. And if you enjoyed this, you can subscribe at DeFiDad.com or this YouTube page. And yeah, would love to hear from you about what other guests you'd like to see, what other DeFi topics you'd like to learn about. So we'll be back next week. I'm not sure who yet, but I'll definitely have some new interview cooked up and some new tutorials. Alan, I'm going to just end the broadcast here, but we'll be in a green room in just a moment. So anyways, bye everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, everyone.